If you've been around for a while, you'll know we like our aliens here at Geetsly's. The best thing about having a galaxy-spanning fandom is the opportunity to run into the weird and wacky parts of xenobiology with a healthy dose of fantasy. There are countless alien species we personally find fascinating, and we've spent a good amount of time trying to document every single one. In today's video, we'll be looking at a lesser known, but still pretty badass species, the Karkarodons. Named after the great white shark, these mouthy aliens wouldn't hesitate to bare their teeth and send you swimming with the fishes. So brace yourself for a bunch of fishy puns, and let's dive right in.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
As you'd expect, the shark-like Karkarodons were native to the aquatic world of Karkaros, located in the Outer Rim territories. Karkaros lay at the tail end of the Polemian trade route and neighboured another star system known for its amphibious denizens, the Calamari sector, home to Mon Cala. This detail will be important later. The planet itself was, in 2 words, frighteningly beautiful. Most of its surface was covered by temperate oceans, with small land masses scattered throughout that served as a base for the planet's industry and spaceports. The ocean itself was veritably teeming with life. If you've ever played Subnautica, we'd like you to remember the sheer numbers of aquatic creatures, plants, and geological structures you could find in that game. Karkaros was very similar, even down to the dangerous shark-like predators that lurked in the ocean's depths. Enter the Karkarodons, an amphibious race of shark people that made their home deep in the oceans. They were tall and slim, with shark-like heads featuring a pointed nose and gills. Although they could breathe on land, unlike most sharks we're personally aware of, they preferred to remain underwater, constructing sprawling, decentralized cities built in the meeting places of tectonic plates. As you'd expect, the Karkarodons were best known for being fast swimmers and vicious predators. They had webbed hands and feet to help them propel through the water, and rows of serrated teeth ready to tear their prey apart. Which, by the way, was their preferred way of unaliving their food. When swimming, they crossed their legs behind them, putting their webbed feet together in a way that mimicked a real shark's vertical tail fin. They also shared many common traits with their real-life counterparts. To start with, the reason they chose to build their cities in the deep areas around the tectonic plates was because that's where there were strong undercurrents. If you know anything about sharks, you'd know they don't actually breathe like most other fish do. Most fish suck water in through their gills and absorb the oxygen dissolved into the water. Sharks, however, don't suck the water in. They rely on swimming through water to guide the water in. That's why, when they sleep, they position themselves in a current so there's always water moving into their gills. It makes sense then that the Karks liked living in places that made breathing easier. Their next common trait was their ability to sustain ridiculous amounts of damage and still keep going. This ranged from the cool to the absurd. Like real sharks, the Karks could regrow any teeth they lost, and this makes sense. When you spend your days swimming around, grabbing onto your prey with your mouth and ripping it apart, you're bound to run into some dental problems, and we're not sure they had insurance down there. Regrowing teeth was necessary to their survival. On the other end of the spectrum, they could take some serious punishment. Riff Tamson, whom we'll talk more about later, took 2 blaster shots straight to the chest and didn't even flinch. If you've ever seen a great white shark with scars all over, you'd not be too surprised. Unlike most real-world sharks, however, the Karkarodons had industry. Karkaros was most well known for 2 exports, weapons and cybernetics. It turns out the natives were fairly good at bioengineering, and they'd managed to set up a good system. The underwater volcanic vents provided geothermal energy that they gathered in specialized plants, then used to fuel their industry. Factories were built on the land masses above sea level, mainly due to the pollution they caused. The reefs and environment around these factories were severely damaged by the pollutants, and so the Karkarodons had chosen to house their industry as far away from their home as possible. Out of sight, out of mind, as any staunch capitalist would say. One of the most famous Karkarodian inventions was the semi-organic war machine known as the Hydroid Medusa. These were massive jellyfish modified heavily with cybernetics. This included armor, electrified tendrils, and built-in power plants. They were 22.3 meters in length, or about the length of 2 telephone poles stacked on top of each other. But they were still jellyfish. Their yellowish-brown underside and tentacles still functioned as nature intended, just better armored and armed. They were practically invulnerable to blaster and lightsaber attacks, though Gungan energy grenades, known as boomers, were sometimes able to land some damage. That small vulnerability aside, they were terrifying to face in the ocean and a testament to the Karkarodons' ingenuity. Politically, the Karkarodons were as friendly as you'd expect a weapons dealer to be. This, of course, led to some interesting developments during the Clone Wars. In the beginning, Karkaros was part of the Galactic Republic. However, when the Clone Wars broke out, the Karkarodons swapped sides and allied with the Confederacy of Independent Systems. There's no evidence to suggest that the Karkarodons had political beef with the Republic on an ideological level, but there are several factors that might have contributed to this decision. On a basic level, they weren't the most peace-loving, gentle beings, so being constantly held back by the Republic's general disdain for wars they didn't start might have had them frothing at the bit. Far more likely, however, the main factor for their secession was financial gain. As we mentioned earlier, Karkaros' main export was weaponry. Many worlds that seceded during the Clone Wars did so in order to escape the Republic's regulations. The CIS gave the Karkarodons an excellent market for their technology, and especially their aquatic weapons. In a previous video, we talked about the CIS aquadroids. The Karkarodons' specialized equipment was better. In 21 BBY, the Karkarodon commander Reef led the Confederacy's invasion of Mon Cala in what came to be known as the Battle of Mon Cala. Fans of the Clone Wars will remember these episodes well. The Separatist force, armed with aquadroids led by Temsin, invaded the Loyalist world and occupied it. The Mon Cala prince, Lee-Char, was overthrown and slated for execution, while Temsin declared himself the ruler of Mon Cala. Fans will likely remember that there were 2 dominant sentient species on Mon Cala: the Loyalist Mon Calamari and the Separatist-aligned Quarren, who had a bone to pick with their neighbors. Initially, it seemed like Mon Cala was lost. The Hydroid Medusas Temsin had brought with him from Karkaros were incredibly effective against Republic forces, and the Separatist Quarrens fought hard under Temsin's command. However, when victory seemed certain, the Quarren chieftain Nosori betrayed Temsin. The Quarren weren't about to allow an off-worlder to take command of their homeworld. In the confusion caused by the Quarren joining the other side, Lee-Char was able to kill Temsin, and the Republic, Jedi, and Quarren forces were able to prevail. Not much is known about the fate of Karkaros after the Clone Wars. Presumably, it was eventually annexed by the Empire, as most Separatist worlds were, and made to serve the Imperial machine. That said, given the nature and industry of the Karkarodons, we'd tentatively bet that they found this turn of fate a little more palatable than some other worlds did. But who can ever really tell what a shark is thinking? So that's the story of the shark-like Karkarodons. Were you as surprised as we were at the lack of fish puns in this video? Are there any other alien species you'd like to hear about? Feel free to let us know your thoughts and more in the comment section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.